So, we are moving on to the next presentation, who is going to connect himself in a second. This will be from Riada, and the product is Insight. Zihni has been in IT industry for 13 plus years and has working with everything with startups. Yeah, on the left side, microphone please. With startups and from startups to fintech companies, and currently is a sales engineer. So again, somebody who knows a lot about the stuff you are interested. I think we have been talking about Insight on one of the earlier smaller customer events, and we can now hopefully get the picture on. Yes, and now the full screen play button, and Zihni is live. Yes, good, it worked in the first time. So please, welcome the next presenter.
Thank you. Let's see if this works. Yes.
Wow.
All right. I'm Zihni. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm going to talk to you about enterprise service management and how Insight fits into the story of enterprise service management together with Jira. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. I want to start out by telling you a little story, which will, in a very easy way, show a summary of what I'm going to talk about. So we were looking for a colleague for me. So I'm the only sales engineer at the moment. So we were looking to find another person who has the perfect match between technical and social skills. All right, so how did we do that? Of course, we started out by doing advertisement, putting out the requirements for the role, and making sure that we have the right persons applying for this role at the company. And we found our perfect match. Her name is Karen, and the problem is that Karen is not, so we're based in Sweden, she's not based there. There's going to be a lot of work just getting her to the office, making sure she can work, and everything around that. So it's an extra challenge, but it's a challenge I think more and more companies, especially global ones, have to take into consideration, because sometimes the local talent is just not enough. You know, just like in Stockholm, I think Tallinn and Estonia as well, there's a booming startup market, and everybody's looking for the best people. So the second step was to, do an interview. Of course, we do that. We can do that online, video conferencing, making sure that we agree on a contract, and everything is set up so we understand each other. And then the next step would be for us to discuss travel preferences, when, how, what about the salary, their position, she needs a bank account, all of these practical things that somebody has to do. Another step is, of course, when we get her here to our office, is making sure she has the right gears, the right hardware. She has access to the systems that she is going to work with. So permissions. That's not only the IT department's job. And I think a lot of companies, when they think about onboarding, they are thinking about, just putting something on a desk so they can start working online. But that's just a small part of it. Also, you have to make sure that Karen has, she has somewhere to sit, she has a chair, she has actually a spot where she can be. So that's not the IT department's job. And after getting her on board, we of course have to make sure that there is a career development, that she's happy with the team, that she knows that she's going to develop her skills, get certifications, things that help us become a better employee, and her to become more skilled at what she does. So it's a personal development and something that will benefit the company as well. Okay, so all of these things need to come together. This is for one person. And what kind of functions are needed in order to make this work? So as you can see here, usually when I do use cases, demos for customers, I try to find a use case which they can identify with. So if they're into facility management, I can show them exactly what they can do, how they can do it. They're oftentimes, very impressed because it talks to them. And most of the times, of course, it's ITSM. That's usually where our customers start. But there are so many other areas which need to have a common view on where to go next. In which order are things going to be done to be effective? Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of, waiting or manual interactions with people, and it's hard to follow up on that because you don't want this to become a problem. All right. So all of these practices are part of something that we call enterprise service management. And here you can see the differences between ITSM and ESM as a whole. We want to enable customers and companies to become better at their overall service management offering. And we think Insight will play a very crucial part of it. So enterprise service management is a means of extending service management across an entire organization. So the reason that it's not working that way today is because ITSM has its own silo. There are walls between these the other service management practices that we see as silos. So they have their own practices, their own workflows, and data sharing between these silos are not really there at the moment. But this is about to change. So the reason that we think IT service management has come the furthest, as Giulio mentioned earlier, the concept of ITIL has given IT service management offerings a good framework to work on, but that needs to be expanded. We need to make sure everybody in the organization has the same kind of efficiency. So today is all about meeting customer expectations. So what do I mean by that? So we have to look at our customers. They can be users, they can be customers who are either paying or just using a service. They need to be in the center of the experience. So it's a rapidly changing landscape. You need to be there. And I'm going to give you a few examples of companies we think are doing a great job, and what that can mean, for the future. One of the companies that we're happy to talk about is Voi. It's a Swedish service where you can rent electric scooters. I'm not sure if they're called scooters. They're on the streets. They're anywhere, everywhere, hundreds of them. By this summer, they're saying that 6-7 new companies are going to offer similar services. There are going to be thousands of them on the streets. And the only thing you need to do, usually you would say, okay, you need to go to a rental place or pay something, This is very easy. You just sign up on their app. You scan a QR code on the electric bike, and it will calculate the cost. It's very cheap, so cheaper than taxi, but quicker than the bus. Another big company, it's become big, is Airbnb. They are offering a simple way for you to live in another person's home, and just being the enabler between them through their service offering. So it's very easy, and of course, that the unique selling point is about trust. So they have a way of giving reviews, and so from both the people who rent and the people who rent out. So there is a company behind that, and that trust is good enough for them, for the people using the service. Another big player also did this digital transformation not so long ago, actually. Netflix realized that they needed to, in order to become a true on-demand service and company, they needed to leave the on-demand video that you could get from going to the store into your living room. So by the click of a button, you have the ability to have high quality, high definition movies, and it's the customer experience. Their competitors were not so lucky because they didn't believe in this, and they're now bankrupt. So you have to realize that things are going quickly and you have to adapt. Okay, so ITSM tools. I'm going to show you a few slides. Unfortunately, some of them will show you the same information that Julio showed, but so I'm not going to talk a lot on that. But the tools that we've been, used to using within ITSM, can they be used in other service management? Doesn't there have to be other solutions? There can be, but there are a few things that you need to consider when choosing a solution. So this is the same slide that Julio showed you, obviously. Since we're working as an add-on vendor to Atlassian, we of course want to help them move up the scale. They're, I think, far enough on the right. So the strength of their strategy is really good, but the reason why they are not higher on this graph is because ServiceNow, for example, offers asset management within that tool. Jira in itself does not. And that is because of the modular design of Atlassian's products. So Jira has a core component, which it does very well, and they enable add-on vendors to increase the functionality by choosing whatever add-on you want. I don't think it's a good idea to pay for stuff you don't need. So we are going to make sure that with Atlassian and Insight, you get a good and just as good or better experience. All right. A service catalog can look like something like this. This is CERN. I'm not sure if they've done anything about this yet, but they have, of course, a lot of services and a lot of choices to be made. It can be quite tricky and it's complex, but I guess the people working there are smart enough to figure this out. So I had a look at the number of choices that are available. And as you can see, with an offering like this, it can become quite tedious, and it's not really customer-centric. I don't even know how many services they have. So this is going to take like 10 minutes. Is that okay? All right. So some conceptual architecture. Please don't fall asleep. It starts up at the bottom. At the top, with some kind of portal, some kind of aggregation funnel. So we want to get information, requests into the system, into the workflow that we need to have to provide a service to our customers. So those need to be tailored to the customer. Essentially, in an ideal world, you would know who the customer, who the person creating this request is, and only offer information that is specified for them. You know, Netflix does this. They know what you've been watching, and they only give you recommendations based on your history and the things that you like. And we need to adopt that kind of thinking as well. So in the middle, you can see that there's some kind of integration done, identification, brokering. These parts have to communicate with each other, and at the bottom there is supply, so information that is needed to populate and give the correct information to the customer. And that's where we come in. So I'm not going to talk a long time about this. We are trying to use the best parts of the things that Atlassian enables us to do. So they're customer focused, so are we. Knowledge centric, I'm going to quickly show you what that means. You have to get down the time and the cost it takes for you to manage service requests, no matter the kind of request we're talking about. And the streamlined part is about automation with the correct information that you have. And Insight is a very good example of that. You can create automated actions that are dependent on a previous step which needs to be concluded first. So in the example of HR onboarding, I have seen a customer who has put up a very elaborate onboarding process where you would specify the name and all of the information that you need to provide, where this person works, what is that person's role. And Jira and Insight create a number of subtasks which need to be fulfilled before the onboarding task or issue is resolved. So it's very easy to track and see what's happening and what's stopping the onboarding process from completion. Also, this has been covered by Julie as well. So we are talking about shifting left by enabling customers to use Confluence as a knowledge base to deflect as much requests as possible, especially if there are frequently asked questions, or let's say you have a problem with your email service. You don't want hundreds of people sending in a request saying, you know, my email doesn't work. We already know that, you know. Either we have monitoring, or the first person who created this issue already alerted us for that. On that. I'm not sure if Julio showed you this, but this is the Forrester research report. They did an analysis of a huge number of incident requests, typical incident requests, how long they took, and how much information, how was the time distributed in those different components of an incident's life. And they saw that 70% of that time was spent investigating, diagnosing, and analyzing data about the incident. So, what kind of service is not working? What kind of servers, what kind of assets are connected to that, which helps us understand and resolve this issue as quickly as possible. So what they said that IT teams find it difficult to collaborate and share valuable insights, so they can find a quick resolution to that. And yeah, makes sense. But that's not unique for IT services. These are problems that are inherent in all of the service management problems. So we think that effective services require accurate and complete information. We need to share data. We need to understand what's under the surface. And a good example of that is a picture like this. So you know that an iceberg has 90% of its mass below the water. And it's the same when it comes to issues and other types of data. Issues, yeah, they show you a little bit of data, but most of the important things are under it. And Insight will help you understand what's below the surface. And the flexibility is what makes Insight so amazing. It has the ability to create any type of asset with any kind of properties and then reference them to each other. So what about the costs? Yeah, this is a staggering number. It's hard to understand, but the reason why this is so important is because every time there is a waste of time and resources when making decisions, basing strategic decisions on incorrect data, it can and will cost you money. So it's a big job of trying to assess it, but yeah, it's a lot of money. And just an example would be when two different departments, so it can be only one with different people, of course, but maybe that's more common when you work together, especially in an office. You can share information or overhear things. But the bigger you get, the more important it is to understand that the data that you're getting from your colleagues has to be trustworthy. Otherwise, you're going to do just as described here. You're not going to trust it. You're going to waste time double-checking and verifying that there are no errors. That takes time. If you don't, it might be even bigger problem later on. When you discuss or display or forward this information to a customer looking for information or looking for an answer of sorts, if that information is incorrect, that's going to be a world of pain as well. You don't want that. Jira is a really good tool. It gives you a lot of attributes that are issue specific. It has a great workflow engine. But this issue information is not enough. What we want to enable customers to see any type of data structures, any type of configuration types, inheritance, dependencies, and companies who are not using this process, they are using issues as a way of displaying assets as an issue, which is a problem because it doesn't tell you the whole story. But once you have that, you get all of these things, and together with automation and the workflows that we enable you to use, you have a complete view of what's going on. So we are kind of special. We have a native CMDB, so we are using the Jira database to store information about the assets. There are some providers who are using external databases and then integrating. We think it makes much more sense. It's quicker. It's easier to troubleshoot when you use the internal, native way of storing information about your assets. Also, relating to the Atlassian approach, so automation is also a big part of it. The way it works is that any time there is a change in an attribute for a specific asset, you can act upon that. A very easy example would be the end date of a license or certificate. You can, in Insight, set a rule that says 60 days before we reach the end date of this specific license, we want to create a Jira issue assigned to a specific person or specific group, specific project, telling them with the name of the license that it needs to be renewed by this date. Please do something about it. There's no need in sending emails to someone to say, create a Jira ticket. Create a Jira ticket from the beginning. So you can track it, you can see that somebody is going to do their job, and if they don't, you can see when and how everything was displayed to the agent. Oh, sorry. Dependencies. Customers are asking us about, what happens if a service goes down? What happens if a production database goes down? Who does it affect? What services are affected by that? When you create references between assets in Insight, when you use the visualization tool that we offer, when you use the custom fields that are available in an issue ticket, and I'm going to quickly show you how that looks a bit later, you can see directly how everything fits together. That means you're not forced to discover things by accident. I'm sure you've seen this as well. There are certain processes that are not being done because something stopped working, like sending out emails to customers when they sign on onto your service, saying thank you for joining. This is some information. Sometimes it just stops working. How do you know? you can go 2 months, and since you don't get the emails and you think your customers get them, you don't know that it's a not functioning service. And reporting, lastly, you can see the time that is spent in issues for certain assets. So you can get reports on exactly which services or assets are taking the most time from your business. And we also have actually a new report module coming out during Summit. It's going to be even more powerful, so looking forward to that. Our platform consists of these 2 paid applications. So Insight, which is the core product, our flagship product. You can create any number of assets in it, regardless of the size of your company. And you can use these free integrations to get information from whatever system you like. We're, of course, adding new integrations to this. So this means you can create any integration by yourself, but these are ready-to-go integration apps. And also inside Discovery, it's a way to populate Insight with information about your internal networks. It works agentlessly. So all you do is install it, run it, and it scans the entire network, sends the information to Jira, and voila, there you have it. It's really a no-brainer, but of course bigger enterprises already have some kind of solution like SCCM for deployment. They already have that information. You can just use whatever you have. But if you're looking to migrate and maybe stop paying for a solution that you think doesn't give you enough value or it's just too expensive, Insight Discovery is worth checking out. And I'm also happy to announce that we are going to release any day now. It's on the approval process at the Atlassian marketplace. An integration for vulnerabilities, software vulnerabilities. So we have created an integration with the National Vulnerability Database. It's associated and owned by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. That's the United States Department of Commerce agency, where a lot, any type of vulnerabilities are uploaded, and companies can use that information, pull them down, and then compare that with the applications that are used in their company. So together with that integration, you can directly create tickets saying that, okay, we've made an update today. This is updated every day. We've made an update, and there are 100 computers who have a security vulnerability. Let's do something about that. And of course, we need to talk about some of our happy customers. MX1 is a very big media distribution company, a European company, who have hundreds, actually thousands of TV channels. So they're distribution provider for certain companies. They have their own networks with their own channels, millions of assets, and they're using Insight to list and inventory their service catalog. They use it for technical documentation. So any asset that needs to be associated with a document, they can upload that information and have it side by side. They can have it in a ticket or associated with an object. And of course, they've been replacing legacy old systems which are not really doing their job, but they've been around for a long time out of traditional reasons. And they're really happy. Another big customer that we have, I'm not sure I can tell you who it is, but you can make your own assumptions. It's the biggest brewery company in the world. One of our very demanding customers due to the sheer size of their infrastructure. So they replaced HP Service Center. It was a tool that was not able to support the complex data structures that they needed, especially, you know, companies in this scale often times grow by acquisitions. So you normally inherit a lot of other systems that were specific for that company. You need to have a way of working together with them. That's a challenge. So whenever that happens, if you have the ability to get rid of old systems and make sure you have the best one, that's a good plan. And also they have a lot of recurring imports. So imports are data that is getting imported from another source. Hundreds of thousands of them every day. And they're happy. This is going to be fun to show. The Johns Hopkins Peabody Institute. It was founded in 1857. It empowers the lives of artists to become better at what they do. And they've brought together a community of teachers, scholars, and artists to train other people and spread an understanding of what the arts can do to uplift the society and the quality of human life. Since 1977, they've been associated with Johns Hopkins University. And it's just a fantastic story. And what do they do? It has nothing to do with service or stuff. They are using it to help their students manage pianos. So requesting access, reporting incidents or problems they have with them. So this here you can see their service portal. Permissions, you know, anything that is related to their business. You can see it here. So the information that the agents need to be able to do a quick and good job is best provided by the user. Unless you have a system like this, where you can pinpoint the exact problem, your support staff will spend a lot of time communicating back and forth with the reporter, asking them, okay, so where is it at? What kind of problems do you have? Who are you? You know. So as much information as you can have from the reporter, the faster things will go. And that's actually a, as you can see, an Insight custom field. So the location of it is something that's stored in Insight and has a reference to that specific piano. So, sorry. As you can see here, they have 249 pianos in their database. They are in different locations, different rooms, different departments. And this equipment is worth millions of dollars. And they will also start covering piano parts. So the students will be able, or the faculty staff will be able to request new parts, as long as they have the relationships between the piano models and the parts that's going to work. So this is another view. So this is actually what the tool looks like. We created an incident. I've done that, so this is my use case. and incident management where this service has been down. And in the issue tickets, in the Jira service desk ticket, you can see information about the services that are affected. You can see the servers that are associated with this business service. It's a hardware failure. As you can see, we've automatically assigned this host owner to be the assignee because that's the person who has to rectify the problem. We also have custom SLAs, depending on how critical these services or servers are for you. Okay, great. This went by quicker than I thought. So what have you learned today? We have discussed what enterprise service management means, how it differs from ITSM. I've tried to show you how others do ESM, both in a good and a bad way. I've tried to focus on the importance of data in enterprise service management and the importance of sharing that data, being transparent. Everybody who needs information has to have an ability to see that. And I showed you how Jira and Insight enables effective enterprise service management. So those two go together. This was actually something I was going to show you from the start, but yeah. We're based in Sweden. We are opening a new office in Berlin next month. We need to grow. We need to get the word out there. Lastly, I want to inform you that we are going to have an event of our own, so our own summit in Stockholm in May. So those are going to be 2 days. The first one is going to be about training. So when you attend, you're going to get the best guys that we have helping you step by step understand how you create a good ITSM practice in this case, how you connect everything to Jira, what it looks like before you use Insight and after. And there are going to be a lot of, at the second day, there are going to be talks from customers who've done very exceptional things with Insight, how they've migrated from other tools, what they're using it for, what they hope they want to achieve in the future. If you want more information about that, please just reach out to me. I'm here all day, and I'll give you more information. Thank you.
Thank you. How many of you are actually using some form of digital asset management? Okay, let's say a couple of tens. So how many companies actually have some kind of assets they need to manage? A bit more. Okay, most companies, they just come together and start hacking code in the morning and hack to the evening, and it just works like that.
You know, I would say every company has to manage assets. It's just about how they do it.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting everybody to raise hands. Yeah, we have assets. Then probably maybe those who didn't raise hands haven't completely understood that there are assets. Are there any questions from the audience side because I can ask till the evening? I have no need to manage my questions. Because there are people who don't probably yet manage their assets. Could you describe some issues when you are going to a new company who hasn't done asset management before? What are the, let's say, the difficulties of the project, or what they need to understand before they can actually start using Insight and move their assets to Insight? What are the hurdles of the process?
I would say the biggest ones are about modeling your data. So you have some kind of process today. Maybe you're using spreadsheets. Maybe you're doing things very manually. You have to decide the information that I have today. So I spoke to a customer last week. Well, not a customer yet, but soon. There are 300,000 employees. It's a big group, okay? They were just asking me just the same questions. So everything is old school. Everything is hierarchical. Sorry. How are we going to start? So you need to talk to someone who is good at processes, creating these agile processes for your company. You don't want to do things the same way as you did before. Just getting a new solution, just getting a new tool is not going to help you. You have to think, what do I want to achieve? What do I have? And then set up a good structure, and with Insight you can do that. And once you're there, it's just about fine-tuning. It's just about making sure that you get the maturity level after a while. After using it a couple of months, maybe a year, you realize, okay, so I could do actually this, and I could do that. So it will become more valuable the more you understand.
Thanks. Still any questions? We have the repeat questioner here. Yeah. Serial questioner. And he's also Peter. There's probably something in the name.
Okay, thanks. The question is, in old times, and maybe still, there is asset management for bookkeeping and CMDB for configuration management, for ITSM, for relations and incident management, problem management. So have you have you joined those together, or have you seen where asset management for finance, amortization, acquiring price, etc., is joined together with your asset management? Or did you got the question?
Are you asking if I have any examples of that?
Yeah, well, experience. Have you done it? Did you replace asset management for finance or bookkeeping completely, or are they integrated, or?
Yeah, no. There are some financial systems, of course. They have processes. They have certain kinds of things that cannot be done in Insight, and that's due to the fact that when it comes to financial interactions and transactions, the normal way we do that is by integrating, though. So let's say an example would be SCCM. So it's a way of discovering and managing your servers. But Insight doesn't enable you to do deployments. What we enable you to do is get information about software that is requested by someone to be deployed on a specific server. And when you do an integration with SCCM through the API or through the built-in integration that we have, you can send information to them, to that system, to do the deployment for you. And the same goes for financial systems. So there are examples of customers who have integrated with, say, Salesforce. But of course, it's depends on your needs. We don't force people to migrate and leave systems behind if they can't do that. But we would love to get that information into Insight. Because when you use Jira, you're going to see a lot more of the information that you need.
Did that answer your question? Okay. Any more questions, or we move to the networking part and the coffee?
I think everybody
Seems
wants coffee.
everybody's voting for coffee. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.